Minister Aurescu has recently proposed the creation of a new international criminal court for countering terrorism. Since your country is host to several such international courts, how do you see this idea? Do you agree with it?
Well, first of all, I welcome the idea. I think it's extremely important that we fight terrorism and at the same time we ensure there is a due international legal process. So I've discussed it with the Minister. I applaud the idea. Obviously, there are a few legal elements that have to be discussed. There's always an issue on what is actually terrorism, what would be the right procedure, would it be different from other courts. We have tried actually in the Netherlands to see to what extent it could be part of the International Criminal Court. But there's no majority for that, at least no consensus. So these are ideas that are extremely important in the fight against terror, and I think we are going to explore together to what extent it is actually feasible and possible.
I think it is extremely important. I'm grateful to Minister Koenders that we are traveling together today for the Solidarity March against terrorism in Tunis. I think it's extremely important that we as EU member states work together with the other EU member states, but also with the partners in the region, in North Africa and the Middle East, in order to find the best ways to cooperate together in order to fight terrorism, but also to find the roots of the phenomenon. And also we have discussed about this idea of having a court fighting terrorism. We will work together at expert level and see how to explore the concept and how to develop the concept in order to find the best means.
Are there any perspectives for a positive decision regarding the Romania's accession to the Schengen area this year?
So we have discussed the issue during our talks, and I have expressed, of course, our arguments, and I have mentioned, and it is not for the first time that I'm mentioning this, that the Schengen accession of Romania would, in our view, reinforce the security of the EU as a whole and of the Schengen space especially. And we have decided to stay in contact in order to work together for a solution to this issue.
Yes, thank you very much. Well, first of all, I had very good discussions with the Minister on Schengen. It's an important agreement. We welcome that Romania wants to be a member of Schengen. We are in the process of making progress on this whole effort to make that possible. And so in the next few months we're going to look where we are exactly, and if it's this year or not, we will have to see. But in any case, there is a willingness to engage. And the issue is, are we exactly online when it comes to the precise conditions? But I think in itself it is important that we take decisions about this in the not too long future.
What would it take for the Netherlands to agree with at least a partial accession of Romania? At the same time, you are the first among big foreign investors in Romania, so it really is something good about Romania and about the climate for business in Romania. This pertains also
I think it's very important what you mentioned. We are at the moment, I think, the first investor even in Romania. We have very strong economic, political and cultural contacts. I think we are great friends. We have very good relationships. The Schengen Agreement is simply an agreement that has certain arrangements which are very technical, so there's not a political issue involved here. We would welcome Romania in this process, and we are looking at the technical details, and in that context we take decisions.
But what would it take for you to agree? It's not.
First of all, it's not necessarily something of the Netherlands. I mean, there are other countries involved. The Schengen Agreement consists of many different countries that have to take a decision on that in the so-called council that we have in Europe on the interior and justice ministers, and they have to agree on this.
You have mentioned our bilateral economic relations. Which Dutch companies are interested in our natural resources in the Black Sea?
I think there might be many. I don't know exactly the list, but I've been very impressed by the work of the foreign minister and the fact that there's so many possibilities right now. You are a great investor, not only yourself in energy, but I think there are also great possibilities because of what you do on hydro, but also on oil. And I'm sure that a lot of Dutch investors would be interested in this, and we have to see what the possibilities for them are.
There's the Riga summit is coming, and everybody's preparing for that. How feasible is the Romanian proposition to mention in the final declaration of the Riga summit a clear European perspective for the Republic of Moldova?
First of all, I would say it's not only a Romanian proposition or position. First and foremost, it's the position of the countries in the Eastern Partnership, Republic of Moldova, but also Ukraine and Georgia. And we think that these countries, who are quite good performers, and you mentioned the Republic of Moldova, I think it's the front runner among these countries. It's very important for them to be encouraged on this European path. And it is important for us as the EU to show support and concrete assistance in this process of reform according to European standards of the implementation of the association agreement and the deep and comprehensive free trade area. We in Bucharest consider that it is important for these countries to feel that the doors of the EU are open for this effort and to encourage them to move forward in this process. So we are discussing, of course, now within the EU the draft declaration of the Riga summit. We are just at the beginning of the process. We will also engage with the partners from the Eastern Partnership, and we will see the outcome. So it's perhaps too early to say which is going to be the outcome of this. But I do not hide the fact that some of the member states are not that happy, let's say, with this express mentioning of the European perspective. But there is no doubt that the Republic of Moldova, as Georgia and Ukraine as well, are European countries. And to our view, they have all possibilities open in front of them, even if it is mentioned or not in the Riga Summit Declaration.
Do you agree with this idea of mentioning the clear European?
Well, I think the mentioning or not, as the Minister said, at least in our view, is not the most important. The most important is that these countries get a chance to associate themselves with Europe, to work together, to have people-to-people contacts, to ensure that we have more trade and more investment, that there are adaptations to the problem. A country like Moldavia is very crucial. We work together even in some projects, Romania and the Netherlands, on justice reform. I think that's the key question right now.
I understand you have a clear idea about having a new type of cooperation between Romania, the Netherlands and the Republic of Moldova in specific fields that pertain to the association agreement. Which are these fields? We
have discussed about joint projects to help the Republic of Moldova to accomplish certain reform process which are necessary for the progress of Moldova in general, not only as far as the association agreement is concerned. And I'm glad to mention that there is a trilateral project with the national banks from Romania, the Netherlands and the Republic of Moldova as far as the reform of the banking system. There is also another project involving the Superior Council of the Magistracy in Romania and the counterpart institution in the Netherlands in order to train the judges from the Republic of Moldova. So we have discussed a little bit last night about perhaps extending this kind of cooperation to other areas, perhaps in the field of preparing the prosecutors or as far as food safety is concerned. But of course these are just some preliminary ideas, and we will develop more on this.
Is there a timetable? Can we see all these projects soon?
Yes, of course you can see already some results in terms of the cooperation that we do in the justice sector. These are complex arrangements because you have to make sure that through training and through type of cooperation between institutions there is a real improvement of the situation. But I very much welcome this trilateral cooperation. Romanian government is very knowledgeable about what exactly happens in Moldavia, much more than we are. At the same time, we have a long-standing relationship with the country through the fact that we are sitting in the same group in the World Bank and the IMF. So I'm looking forward. I think we can explore more possibilities, and therefore the people there are very concrete. If you talk about arrangements on banks, for instance, it's not just something abstract. It means that it can really help the financial reforms and therefore the possibilities of people in Moldova to grow economically.